This weekend, the Green Bay Packers rolled out the red carpet for 9 hopefuls at their rookie camp, headlined by none other than Chase Claypool, a former second-round pick looking to revive his career. But before we get into the details, fans, where are you watching from, and what do you think about Claypool's chances? Leave your comments below. Claypool, once a rising star after a promising rookie season with the Pittsburgh Steelers, where he racked up 62 receptions for 873 yards and 9 touchdowns, has seen better days. After an underwhelming stint with the Bears and Dolphins, where he managed a mere 8 catches for 77 yards over 12 games last season, he's now trying to find his footing once more. Coach Matt LaFleur acknowledged Claypool's potential, noting, "You guys saw him, right? Certainly, he had great film out there. He's been productive, and he looks like he's in great shape. He's big. So, we'll see how it goes." However, let's be real. The atmosphere at Friday's practice was less than conducive for any standout performances. The 11-on-11 drills were conducted at half speed, and quarterbacks didn't even throw to receivers, making it nearly impossible for any of the tryout players to truly shine. LaFleur noted that this camp is more about onboarding for these rookies, giving them a taste of what's to come when they join the veterans next week. For the majority of these guys, he said, "That's the purpose behind this. We're not doing any full speed reps. But for some of these guys, the tryout guys, yeah, we take them through the same stuff as everybody else." While Claypool is the name that garners headlines, the other 8 participants were largely undrafted free agents who seemed to be there more to fill roles than to actually compete for a roster spot. It's a harsh reality, but that's the nature of the NFL. Only the best survive, and not everyone can make the cut. Among these hopefuls was Isaiah Jacobs, brother of star running back Josh Jacobs, who expressed optimism about his future despite a challenging college career. He received a chance to showcase his skills as a fullback, but will now have another opportunity with the Dolphins next weekend. Meanwhile, Dane Walter, a Division III All-American from UW La Crosse, also made an appearance, but for many, it felt like a practice to merely get through rather than a genuine shot at making the team. The reality is that the Packers have solid depth in key positions, making it tough for these newcomers to carve out a place on the roster. As the rookie class heads home for a brief break, the responsibility now lies with them to prepare for the competitive return to Green Bay next week. LaFleur emphasized the importance of self-study during this time. "I think it's unrealistic to expect that they're going to know a tenth of what the vets know at this stage of the game," he said, indicating a clear gap in experience that they must bridge. The upcoming weeks are pivotal not just for Claypool but for all the rookies as they gear up to join the veterans on the field. Will Claypool's past prowess resurface in Green Bay? Can he reclaim a spot on the roster and prove he still has what it takes to make an impact? The Packers coaching staff and fans will be watching closely, but it's clear that the competition will only intensify as they move forward. Now, as we shift gears from this rookie camp insight, let's delve into the next significant update surrounding the Packers that has fans buzzing. As the Green Bay Packers emerge from the offseason, the buzz is palpable. With critical moves in free agency and a focused draft strategy, they are positioning themselves to make a serious run for the Super Bowl. After a disappointing playoff exit to the Chicago Bears, General Manager Brian Gutekunst has addressed the team's most pressing needs, specifically defensive tackle and cornerback, demonstrating his commitment to building a competitive roster. He kicked things off with the signings of defensive tackle Javon Hargrave and cornerback Benjamin St-Juste, then followed up by drafting cornerback Brandon Cisse and defensive tackle Chris McClellan in the early rounds. Gutekunst's admission that he may never feel like every box is checked speaks volumes to the continuous evolution of this team, indicating that there's always room for improvement. However, as we look ahead to the regular season looming 4 months away, some positions require further attention. One glaring need is a reliable number 2 running back. While Josh Jacobs has proven to be a tough competitor, he did miss time last season due to a knee issue, something that cannot be overlooked given his heavy workload throughout his career. The departure of Emmanuel Wilson, who played a crucial role last season with 140 total touches, leaves a significant void. The only new face in the backfield is undrafted free agent Jaden Nixon, who, while capable of making plays, may not be the answer if Jacobs were to go down again. The uncertainty surrounding the current group of running backs, Chris Brooks, Marshawn Lloyd, Pierre Strong, Damian Martinez, and Nixon, raises questions about their readiness to step in when needed. Brooks has shown promise as a pass protector, but lacks opportunities as a runner. Meanwhile, Lloyd's injury history is concerning, and Martinez, who was a late-season addition to the practice squad, is still a wild card. If none of these players can assert themselves, the Packers might need to explore options like Antonio Gibson or even a trade for Trey Benson to bolster the backfield. Another area ripe for improvement is the tight end position. Gutekunst himself acknowledged this need after the draft. The initial plan was to bring in Wake Forest's Eni Falai, who unfortunately failed his physical and remained unsigned. This leaves R.J. Maryland as the only tight end acquisition, and while he's more of a speedy receiving threat, the absence of a strong blocking presence is concerning. With John Fitzpatrick recovering from a torn Achilles, the Packers could benefit from bringing back veteran Marcedes Lewis, a player synonymous with tough, dirty work on the line. Depth at the offensive line is another potential issue. Currently, the only established backup is Darian Kinnard, who did well in a utility role last season. The development of young players will be crucial here. Jacob Monk, who stepped up against Minnesota in Week 18 last season, and Donovan Jennings, a promising undrafted rookie, both need to prove they can handle meaningful snaps. The addition of Yeager Burton, who has experience at both center and guard, could provide versatility, but his ability to adapt to the depth of the playbook will be key. The quarterback situation remains intriguing. Acquiring Malik Willis for minimal compensation last offseason was a stroke of luck, but the current crop of backups, Desmond Ridder, Kyle McCord, and Kieran Drones, could bring varying levels of experience and potential. However, the Packers seem to be in a much better position than before, with Ridder holding 18 starts under his belt, giving the coaching staff options that could be beneficial down the line. Despite these concerns, the starting 22+ looks solid. There are still some question marks, particularly at left tackle with Jordan Morgan, but overall, the roster is shaping up well. A potential starting offensive line of Morgan, Aaron Banks, Sean Ryan, Anthony Belton, and Zach Tom could be formidable, provided Morgan develops in his new role and the others stay healthy. The losses of wideouts Romeo Dew and Dontavian Wicks may even offer an opportunity for emerging talents like McClellan, who has shown more upside than previous defensive tackle Colby Wooden. With the influx of cornerbacks, the Packers now have options that were previously lacking. It's important to remember that Gutekunst has a history of making impactful moves beyond the draft and free agency, as seen with linebacker Devondre Campbell's signing and the trades for players like Willis and Micah Parsons. Coach Matt LaFleur echoed this sentiment, emphasizing that the roster is by no means finalized. The landscape of the league is dynamic, and there are always opportunities to enhance the team, whether through veteran signings or trades. As we navigate through this offseason, there's excitement and cautious optimism surrounding the Packers. They might not be a perfect team yet, but with Gutekunst at the helm, they seem poised to make the necessary adjustments. Let's see how this unfolds as we move closer to the regular season, and keep an eye on how these developments could shape the Packers' pursuit of another Super Bowl title. Now, let's dive deeper into our next item.
The 2026 NFL Draft has come to a close, and the Green Bay Packers, under the direction of General Manager Brian Gutekunst, have brought in 6 new players to bolster their roster. But that's not all. The team has also signed several undrafted free agents, making this an intriguing offseason for the Packers. Where are you watching from? Let us know in the comments and share your thoughts on how you feel about the draft selections. Roster building in the NFL is a relentless endeavor. It's a year-round commitment that never truly pauses. This draft was particularly notable for the Packers, as it leaned more toward addressing specific needs rather than simply selecting the best available talent. While this strategy makes sense given the current state of the roster, it raises questions about whether Green Bay has adequately filled all its gaps. So, what are the pressing needs that still linger for the Packers? Let's dive into the top 5 positional concerns that remain. First and foremost, the quarterback position continues to be a topic of discussion. Currently, the Packers have 4 quarterbacks on the roster, but none have convincingly proven they can step up to the standards set by last year's backup, Malik Willis. The need for a reliable, young quarterback is essential for the team's future, and the uncertainty surrounding Jordan Love's ability to stay healthy only compounds the issue. We've seen flashes of potential from Desmond Ridder, but can we really count on him? The developmental prospects like Kyle McCord and Kieran Drones give us hope for the future, but they won't be ready to contribute immediately. Drones, in particular, has the potential to be a game changer, but that's something we'll have to wait and see. Speculation has swirled around the possibility of adding a player like Anthony Richardson post-draft, but fans should temper their expectations on that front. Next, we turn to the running back situation. Josh Jacobs is undeniably talented, but let's face it, the 2026 season could very well mark the end of his time in Green Bay. At 29 by the end of this season, the reality of running back regression looms large. The front office has a history of making tough decisions, and they often choose to move on a year early rather than late. Marshawn Lloyd has struggled with injuries, and while Chris Brooks is under contract for the next 2 years, the depth here is concerning. The Packers must continue to seek out talent at this position, as waiting too long could lead to serious issues down the road. Moving on to the cornerback position, the Packers have attempted to shore up their secondary, but relying on rookie talent can be a double-edged sword. The addition of Brandon Cisse could prove pivotal, and bringing in Benjamin St-Juste adds a layer of experience. However, the trust in Keyshawn Nixon and Carrington Valentine as primary boundary corners is shaky at best. If injuries or poor performances hit, Green Bay's defense could struggle significantly. It's clear that adding a proven veteran cornerback could make all the difference, not just for immediate performance, but also for the development of the younger players. In terms of the defensive line, the Packers made some solid moves, notably signing Javon Hargrave to a 2-year deal and drafting Chris McClellan. These additions should bolster the interior of the line, particularly against the run. However, concerns still linger. Hargrave, at 33 years old, is nearing the twilight of his career, and Devontae Wyatt's future remains uncertain without a contract extension. Although Stackhouse and Brinson flashed potential as rookies, they aren't yet reliable. The Packers must focus on building depth here. Otherwise, they risk reliving last season's struggles defending against the run. The need for at least one veteran depth piece is glaring. Finally, we arrive at the tight end position, arguably the most pressing need for the Packers post-draft. Tucker Kraft is still on the mend from an ACL tear and has yet to secure a contract extension. Luke Musgrave, drafted in the 2nd round, has not developed as expected, and he too remains without an extension. Behind them, Messiah Swinson is currently the 3rd option, but that hardly inspires confidence. The Packers must strengthen this position, especially considering Kraft's recovery timeline. The uncertainty around injuries means they can't afford to be complacent here. Expect them to make moves to enhance the tight end position before or during training camp. In summary, while the Packers made strides during the 2026 NFL Draft, they certainly have their work cut out for them moving forward. The quarterback room needs attention. The running back situation requires foresight. The cornerback depth is shaky. The defensive line still has concerns, and the tight end position is crying out for reinforcements. This team is not without its challenges, but with the right moves, they can set themselves up for future success. So, fans, what do you think about the Packers' draft strategies and current needs? Don't forget to leave your thoughts in the comments. And if you haven't already, subscribe for the latest updates on your Green Bay Packers. Remember, no matter what happens, go Pack Go!